Most people think the biggest investing mistake they're going to make is picking the wrong stock, and it's actually not. I believe the biggest mistake that a lot of people make is waiting. Waiting until they make more money, waiting until the market drops and it feels safer, or waiting until life calms down, and that delay of waiting can actually cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars without you even realizing it. So in this video, I'm going to be explaining why you need to start investing as soon as possible. I'm going to explain the math behind this and the hidden cost of waiting to invest. But before we jump into the video, comment down below what is causing you to not invest if you aren't already. I'm very curious to hear what a lot of people have to say. Now, before we jump into the math, I do want to talk about the opportunity cost of not investing. A lot of people underestimate the cost of waiting because it doesn't feel painful. Their money's not at risk. They're not, having to see their money go up or go down each day. They don't have any skin in the game, but they don't realize that this could cost them a ton of money because in their mind, there's no immediate consequences. If you just have all your money in cash and you never do anything with it, then you're going to be fine. But people that truly understand compound interest and really good investing know that this is a time-based game. Compound interest rewards early action exponentially, and I'm going to explain all of the numbers behind this. And one thing I try to reiterate all the time on this channel is that investing, it's not about how much money you invest, it's about how long your money is working for you. So let's actually jump into the math behind this. So the first thing I want to do here is let's pretend that somebody has $0 and they're 20 years old and they're going to invest until they're 60. Let's pretend that they're going to invest $500 a month, and we're going to assume their interest rate is 10% a year. Now you can factor in inflation either before you invest and call it 8%, or you can use the 10%, but let's just pretend for now it's 10% a year. Then over that 40-year period, starting with zero, 500 a month, 10%, they would end with $2.65 million. So this is going to be our anchor point. This is somebody investing for 40 years, all those stats that I just told you, and we're going to look at it if you wait 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, and 10 years. So remember that number, $2.65 million. That is what you end with just from investing $500 a month. And the beauty of all of this is although you have $2.65 million at the end, you only actually put in $240,000 throughout those 40 years, because $500 a month, that is going to be $6,000 a year. $6,000 a year times 40 years. There's your number. So you put in 240,000, you got 2.65 million. Awesome. Now let's pretend that somebody just waits 1 year. If somebody waits 1 year and invests for 39 years, $500 a month, 10% interest, that goes from 2.65 million to 2.4 million. And the craziest part about only waiting 1 year is that is just $6,000 less in total contributions, because instead of the 40 years, you wait 1 year, so you have 39 years. And like I said, we're doing 500 a month, that's 6,000 a year. But your final portfolio difference is that 2.65 million versus the 2.4 million. That is a gap of $246,000 just because you waited 1 year. That is absolutely insane. And I remember the first time I was job shadowing a financial advisor, he showed me a very similar scenario to this, and I went, holy shit, I got to start investing as soon as possible. And the key thing I need to point out here is although it's only a $6,000 difference initially, it is $246,000 later. And so it's not like that $6,000 is just sitting there. That $6,000 that sat there lost out on 40 years of compounding. And so one thing I really want to emphasize here is this 1 year delay, waiting between, the ages of 20 and waiting until you're 21 or 22, it's going to add up to a lot of money. I mean, that's 240 grand. That's a shit ton. And I know that 2.65 million is going to be worth a lot less 40 years from now. So is 2.4 million. But the main point is if you had $6,000 and it could be worth 200 plus thousand decades from now, you're going to rethink the way you invest, and you're going to probably try to start as soon as possible. So that's just the 1 year delay. Let's actually look at the 3 year delay. So instead of somebody starting at age 20, they start at age 23. So they now have 37 years of compounding, which is again, $500 a month, 10% a year. So the 20-year-old there is still at their 2.65 million, but the person that waited 3 years is now at 1.98 million, which is a $675,000 difference, even though the contribution difference is only $18,000. So that's an even bigger gap by waiting 3 years. Now let's look at the 5 year, and you're going to see here the point as I'm making the 5 and then the 10, it's going to get worse and worse. So now let's pretend that somebody waits to start at 25 versus age 20. The gap is already really serious in my opinion. I mean, once you see the first 1 year delay, you're probably thinking, holy shit, but the 3 years, it's like, damn, that's over $500,000. The 5 years is going to be even worse. And the reason that the gap widened so much is because the earlier dollars, they are the most powerful dollars because they're compounding the longest. The first decade of investing is way more important than your last decade. And the difference of investing for 40 years versus 35 years is still that 2.65 million versus $1.63 million. That is a $1 million difference. And that's only because you waited 5 years, even though the contribution difference is only $30,000. Like waiting out and not investing that $30,000 over 5 years costs you $1 million later on. And then finally, this is the biggest gap I want to talk about here. This is the 10-year delay. This is starting at age 20 versus age 30. And holy shit, you guys, this one is painful. And it's not about missing 10 years of contributions. It's about shrinking your compounding permanently. Like there's actual huge gaps in wealth at this point, because the difference difference now is $2.65 million versus $986,000. So by waiting 10 years, that cost you about $1.7 million. Now again, I know the inflation adjusted numbers are going to be slightly different, but still $1.7 million, whether it is today or whether it is 40 years from now, is still going to be a very impactful number. And one thing a lot of people don't realize is in order to actually catch up, let's pretend that you waited until age 30 and you still invested for 30 years. But let's say you wanted to end at 2.6 million, just like you did with the person that started at age 20. In order to catch up and get back to that 2.6 number, you would have to invest $1,350 a month, or right around that amount. And so instead of investing $500 a month at age 20, you now need to invest 2.7 times that amount, which is insane. And this really drives home the point of why time is honestly, in a lot of cases, it is a lot more important than your rate of return. Don't get me wrong, the rate of return still matters. I'm not going to sit here and say it doesn't at all, but the amount of time that you invest, you get to invest way less money and have way more later on. So that's why I'm constantly saying on this channel, even if you start out at age 18, age 20, age 25, I mean, hell, even age 30, a lot of people don't even start investing until their 40s or 50s. Imagine how much money they're missing out on. I showed you guys a 10-year delay. Imagine a 20 or a 25-year delay. I mean, we're talking about millions of dollars at that point, which is just absolutely insane. So that's one of the main points I wanted to drive home. But one question a lot of people are probably going to have is, well, what should I actually invest in? Like, okay, great. I should invest now, but like, what should I be doing with my money? So the first thing I would say, and I'm always saying this on this channel, is just invest into broad market ETFs. You can own the S&P 500 or VOO. So that's the 500 largest companies in the US, or you could own VTI, which is basically the entire US stock market. You could add in an ETF like VXUS, which basically adds international diversification. So a lot of people, they'll do like, let's say 80% VTI, 20% VXUS. Or you could just own the entire global stock market with VT. Now, I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice, but this is just honestly what I would do. If you guys have been following the channel for a while, you know that I put most of my money into VOO. And your next question might be, well, where should I invest that money? You can invest into a Roth IRA. If you have a 401k, there's definitely options for that. Hopefully at most employers, there tends to be. You can invest in an HSA, a brokerage account. And if you don't know what order you should do this, I highly advise you go check out my other video that basically talks about, okay, you got paid, but now like what order should you focus your money in? And you really don't need to overcomplicate these things. The only thing you need is just broad exposure, consistency, and the main point here is time in the market. Because sitting there and getting analysis paralysis, it's not going to help you at all. It's a lot better to start out and not be perfect than to just try to optimize things before you even start. And one of the key points I want to make, because a lot of people tend to say this is, oh, well, I'm going to wait until the market drops. And then by the time the market drops, they go, actually, I'm going to wait until it starts to bounce back. And what you should be doing, and this is a quote from the Money Guy show, these guys are real professional advisors, is always be buying. Whether the market goes up, whether it sits flat, whether it goes down, basically just try to keep your job and try to keep investing. Those are the only two things you have to do to build a ton of wealth. It is honestly that simple. And also live within your means, of course. But I think this graphic really drives home the point the best here, and that is that if you invested $10,000 in the S&P 500 in January of 2003, and then you look at your account as of December 2022, then your $10,000, if you invested the entire time, you just left it, you didn't sell, you kept your money in, would be worth $64,000, which is great. Now let's pretend that you missed the 10 best days in the market. That goes from 64,000 all the way down to 29,000, which is insane. Just 10 days cost you half of that. Now let's pretend you missed the best 20 days. That is now at 17,000, which is a huge drop off. And finally, if you missed the best 30 days, then your portfolio value would be $11,700. And the more days you miss, the worse off you're going to do. So the point here is that the 10 best days in the market typically tend to happen when the market is going through a bunch of crap, whether it's 2008, whether it is 2020. And so you want to hold on, keep those diamond hands, buy the dip, just keep investing consistently, and you're going to come out with a ton of wealth on the back end. Like I said, all you have to do is live within your means, invest consistently. But this is honestly one thing a lot of people need to understand is do not sit on the sidelines for years, because it can really cost you hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars. And the stock market doesn't give a shit whether you're ready or not. Compounding only rewards people that take action, and it really rewards people that start out very early. That's part of the reason Warren Buffett is so rich. I mean, the guy started investing when he was 11 years old. And like I've said this entire video, the earlier you start, the better. I mean, he's like, what, 95, 96 now? That is such a long time for your money to be compounding. And even if you're still on the fence after watching this video with investing, all you have to do is start out small. But the key thing here is just to start. Even if you put in $10 a week, $25 a week, because in my opinion, the only way that you're guaranteed to lose out in investing, assuming that, you at least buy some index funds, the only way you're actually going to miss out and lose long term is if you never start. So I really hope this video did not scare you guys, but actually just gave you the perspective to start investing now. Really encourage you guys to get some skin in the game and let your wealth really start compounding for you. That is it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, drop a like down below, hit that subscribe button. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.